Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the kitchen. Today we're making sourdough bread fresh from our own starter. Why would I do that? Because I dislike buying bread from the store. It grosses me out. So we're gonna do that today. So to feed your starter, you're gonna want to take that top off, giggity, and you're just doing equal parts. I still have to grab my cream because I forgot that. Here's hoping I have enough. Fun fact. So the starter is in here. It's all bubbly wobbly. Oh, that smells good. And give it a stir. Watch it flop. Now, because I'm making bread today, most people would tell you either, put in 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup. And what does that mean? 1 cup flour, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup half and half. Well, I use half and half. Most people just use milk. It's my secret. Now you have it. But I'm not going to do that because this is already very, very full and I don't want to make a ton of bread today. I'm making 4 loaves just to send a couple home with my brother-in-law and to have a couple here. So I am getting out my handy dandy measuring cup. And how much am I going to do? I'm going to stick with a 1/4 cup. I feel like that's more than enough. So why do you feed your sourdough? Because it needs to eat. This is your pet. You get to eat a pet every week. So now that your sourdough starter has been fed, you can start making your bread. I have a recipe here that is called rustic sourdough bread, and it's a King Arthur recipe. Look at that, making life easy. So I'm going to set this off to the side and start getting all of my other ingredients prepped for now. What does this need? This needs me to get out my scale. Now, for this, a scale is actually important because you're going to get totally different densities in your bread if you're not actually weighing things out. If you want a light, fluffy bread, weigh out your ingredients. That's what I have for you. Scale. Use a scale. So I'm going to get that turned on. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to come over here. In my big fancy bowl. Okay, so first thing it wants in here is 1 cup of the fed sourdough starter, which is 227 grams. So, I swear I've done this before. I'm actually a pro. I used to run a bakery. Surprisingly enough, that's not even close. And I've surpassed how much I need. Oh my God. So, I went a little bit past. So, I'll put it back. Because I'm awesome like that. And mistakes are totally allowed to happen. Perfect. I've added my sourdough starter to the bowl. I've made a mess. I'm going to tear this out again. So next, they want me to do the water and the yeast, but I think I want to do those in a separate bowl because I like to set those off to the side to bubble. So I'm going to get my water started. It calls for lukewarm water. You don't want to put hot water in. You're dealing with a live bacteria, which is yeast. You want that to be, alive. That's what gets you all your bubbles. Okay, so I need, so we need 3 cups of warm water. We're going to do that a little different just because I want to make sure that we get it right. All right, so now that we've got our water measured out, we're going to add our instant yeast to it. So you should keep this in your fridge, otherwise it can go bad. And if it doesn't bubble within a few minutes, it already is bad. I guess that's the moral of the story. So this recipe calls for 1 to 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. I'm doubling the recipe, so I'm going to use 4 because I want all the bubble I can get. And that's just how I roll, and we're going to have to deal with that. I give it a little stir. Don't know that that's entirely necessary, but intention and all that. I should have known this was a King Arthur recipe because it specifically calls for King Arthur flour. And I just don't use that because he's hoity-toity and I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit off the side and get a little bit bubbly, and I'm going to come back to this big one. And this now wants 15 grams of salt, which because we're doubling is going to be 30. All right. Ooh. All right, so you're going to be disturbed to see how much salt this actually looks like. Because I was. Let's just know that. I was disturbed. We need 30 grams. So that right there is 7. Or 10, 12, 19, 17 actually. Ooh, 25. Oh. All right, 30 grams of salt. Now, the recipe does not call for sugar. I add some. It's just who I am. It's how I roll. And it looks a little bit like this. Blam. And because we're doubling the recipe, double blam. Those are very scientific measurements, very, very specific and accurate. Make sure you're doing very, very well with that. So that's what blam looks like as it rolls away. Blam. That's kind of an ass. All right, so this is doing its thing. I am gonna hop over to our flour. Now the flour, we need 5 cups, which is 600 grams. So we need 1,200 grams because again, we're doubling. Phew. 600 times 2 is 1,200. Are you gonna take this whole container? Because that'd be hilarious. Yeah! 1,200. Woohoo! All right, so we're gonna let that sit because this has to get bubbly. So ooh, it's already getting bubbly. It's doing its thing. I love it. I'm not gonna mess with it. What I am gonna do is walk away for a few minutes, possibly hit a bowl. It sounds like a good plan. All right. So this is bubbly enough for me right now. So now we just get everything mixed together. It's really, really complicated. The hardest part is making sure that you don't forget that you can't use a metal bowl or any metal instruments. You have to use like plastic and glass and ceramic and things of that nature, because otherwise you kill all of that lovely yeast that's just trying to get in here and build stuff up and make your bread big and fluffy. Man, I'm actually gonna have to get in and mix this. I don't like this part. I generally tend to form everything just with the spoon, but it's not gonna let me because I'm making so much right now. Or at least, is it? Yeah. No. So when I'm doing this, what I'm doing is I'm punching down and twisting. So I punch and twist. It's like turning my hand into a mixer, I guess. But it will start coming together and forming one solid dough. It can just take a minute. And then you wind up like, you know, the blobby monster over here. And that is why I put everything in plastic sheeting. My recipes wind up being my ladle holders. That sounds funny. Oh. A lot of bread makers will take this out and they will work this for a while. I don't. I make sure everything is incorporated and mixed relatively well. And then I let it sit for a really long time. Gross. Gentlemen, be kind. Play with your food. Don't ever take yourself too seriously. So this is our gelatinous bread blob. So the next thing you do, you're gonna grease a bowl that you're gonna let that sit and rise in. I just use a spray because I like to make things easy. Perfect. Blammo. And then we're just gonna turn this out into here. Oh, you guys should have this cool money shot. I'm gonna give that to you guys because I'm not terrible.
Ooh, stretch.
Alright. So none of that was necessary. It's all just in honor of not taking yourselves too seriously. So I want to turn these edges in and down a little bit. I would like this to be closer to ball shaped. That method. Alright. And about perfect. I'm going to cover it and let it rise for a few hours.